rhyme. You have to face the music and do the time.
Good evening, parents of the West Shore School District, and this is Mariana, and welcome to the Watchdog Report. So, today we're going to speak about something very interesting, and apparently, the left is running very scared right now that Mrs. Sandra Gonzalez may just beat the pants off of Brian Geiswhite. That's why tonight's edition we are going to dedicate it to Joey Askey and the York Dumpster, aka the York Dispatch. So, we are calling tonight's edition Can You Smell the Fear? Okay. So this got to my hands today, and thank you for the parents who submitted this to me. And this is another article from the York Dumpster. Okay, written by Joey Askey. Now, many of us know who Joey Askey is, do we not? So, it is a very funny. I mean, it actually gave me a giggle when I read this, because yeah, Joey must have still been stewing that the board passed common sense policy and Joey didn't get her way. So came up with this masterpiece here. So I'm gonna read it to you guys, okay? Here we go. So the York Dumpster just published a opinion article by Joey Askey and named it The Death of Common Sense in the West Shore. Well, first let's talk about the title. Common sense has been gone in the West Shore School District ever since the liberals took over. Okay. And we're talking about when Brian Geiswhite was the president and Abigail Tierney was the president and all them not so fine people. Okay. So that's when common sense went out the window. The issue is that this fine person here and their Liptar friends are trying to stop common sense from coming back. Okay. So let's continue. Just the title itself is kind of funny. Get the popcorn out, people. Imagine you have a job vacancy, an important one. My guess is that you look for someone with credentials, experience, and knowledge. At least that's how most people fill jobs. Somehow, filling the job of school board director seems to have different rules, at least for some in the West Shore School District. One candidate, Brian Geiswhite, has a resume a mile long, filled with military accolades. Okay, but we're not sending him to Afghanistan, right? Okay. Real world business experience, volunteerism, and a proven track record that balances fiscal responsibility with the needs of students and family. Okay. I told you gotta get your popcorn, all right? Okay. So let's continue. His opponent described herself at a school board meeting as as uneducated. Her words, not mine. She has presented no evidence of credentials, work experience, or leadership that could serve as a predictor of school board success. She has made fiscal suggestions that demonstrate a lack of knowledge of the complexities of district budgets. Spoiler alert, it's not the same as balancing your checkbook at home. Her public outbursts about construction materials specifically designed for longevity in high traffic areas speak to her presumption of knowledge in areas where she is uninformed. If you are not a subject matter expert, it's best to leave the engineering to the actual engineers. So far, the job interview, so far, the job interview isn't going so well for her. Yet, there are a handful of folks endorsing her, which makes me wonder, When did politics override common sense? Well, Joey, politics overrid common sense when you people got involved. So let's take a look at this. Talk about guy Bryce White, Geist White here. So your claims are that he has a mile long resume filled with military accolades. So is there a war going on that we need to know of? Because if there is, Trump, can you hear me? This is the guy for you. Send him overseas, please. Send him overseas. Real world business experience, volunteerism, and a proven track record that balances fiscal responsibility with the need of students and families. Are you flipping kidding me? Listen, let's talk. Let's talk. Let's talk. Let's talk. Let's talk. Let's talk. Okay, so Brian Geist White, um, idea of fiscal responsibility is to tax to the max. Tax to the max. Do you remember that? Okay. So, yes, his leadership left us in a $15.1 million debt, and he still expects us to reelect them? Really, Joey? Ah, I think he forgot about that, right? Yeah, and the needs of students and families, say, are the needs of students and family to break their backs with the debt that he's putting on everybody's back because it's taxing to the maxing, and people can't afford to buy food, medication, especially the senior citizens. And this is what you call a proven track record? What? To keep us broke? Yeah, he has a proven track record, all right. He has a proven track record to take the West Shore School District into bankruptcy because we're practically there, folks. So I don't know what Kool-Aid Joey here is drinking, but that's his track record. Okay, taking us into bankruptcy, and yeah, and he has another track record that you know Joey forgot, and that is that he is an avid reader and he loves the library, and so does his wife. So we remind everybody about this gem right here. The book found in Cedar Cliff High School, Genderqueer, that shows pornography. Oh, and it gets better. It gets better. So people are saying, he does not support pornography. Really? He doesn't? It gets better, folks. Not only does he support pornography, so does his wife. Because as you can see here, Mr. and Mrs. Geiswhite, they are just leaving a wonderful legacy in the West Shore School District. Let's see. The first legacy is that um, we're broke. People leaving the West Shore School District, putting their kids in cyber school. Okay, and that's partially, the administration's fault also. Okay, they got a big fault. Okay, but the other legacy is that they're bringing colorful books. You see, colorful pornographic books to the West Shore School District. Okay, he and his wife. So yeah, let's see what else has Brian Geiswhite and his leadership done for the West Shore School District. So let's start from the very beginning. Okay, he supports tax to the max and burdening the taxpayer with the debt. He facilitated a $15.1 million debt as president of the West Shore School District. He supports male invading female sports and locker rooms. He supports transgender bathrooms. He supports pornographic novels in our school, and so does his wife. He supports the cancel culture. He's against parental rights. He's against parents' choice. We've had a mass exodus of students enrolling in cyber school under his leadership. He's always been against curriculum transparency. He believes parents should never have the last word over their children. He Under his leadership, we saw increased school violence. Interesting. He supports the lawfare against the board members who do not share his liberal views. He supports all woke's agenda, and he is not a conservative. So you forgot to mention all that, Joey. Can somebody please donate some memory pills to Joey, please? Because I last time I checked, we all go to the same school board meeting, right? Okay. All right. So now, while Joey is talking on this yin yang here, okay? Because something happened to Joey. I think that the results of the last board meeting has Joey all discombobulated, all nervous here, okay? So let's pray for Joey. But anyway, we're praying for Joey. It's funny. She's stating that Sandra is undereducated. Well, what are the qualifications in Pennsylvania for somebody to be eligible to run for school board? Okay, so these are the qualifications. They must be a citizen of Pennsylvania and a resident of the school district for at least 1 year. They must be a registered voter. They must be of good moral character and at least 18 years old. So, last time I checked, Sandra's very qualified because you see, anybody can run for school board. You don't need a college degree. You don't need a PhD. You don't need to be one of the experts. You need to have common sense, which is something that and I agree with Joey, that has been lost in the school board, okay, in the West Shore School District, but not because of the conservative board members or of the parents, but because of the pink hair freaks coming into these meetings and wanting their ways and having meltdowns, okay, when they don't get their way, and then they don't get their way and they start running to courts, okay, to start lawfare. That is what has caused common sense to leave the West Shore School District. Now, she made a comment about fiscal responsibility or knowledge of fiscal responsibility. It's not the same as balancing your checkbook at home. Well, you know what? Apparently, Guys White don't know how to balance a checkbook either. Okay, because Guys White doesn't know that 1 plus 1 is 2 and led us in the 15.1 million plus dollar deficit in the West Shore School District because he doesn't know any math. At least Sandra knows how to use a calculator. Huh. Okay. All right. And let's see here. Look at here. Look at here. Um, Her public outbursts about construction material, specifically designed for longevity in high traffic areas, speaks of her presumption of knowledge in areas where she is uninformed. No, she is very informed. Because although people are saying that she said marble, she did not say marble. She said a marble like material. Those were her words. I can pull up the clip. And she was not wrong. Terrazzo, Joey, sit down. Sit down. Let's talk. Okay, and you go to the Home Depot, go to Lowe's, go to your friendly neighborhood hardware and ask the question, okay? Terrazzo is not a cheap material. The price of terrazzo is determined on the thickness, on the square footage that's going to cover. If it has a design, and apparently this one did because she said it was marble like, that also influences on the price and the installation. So terrazzo, depending on what grade of terrazzo, if there is a design or not, can be very expensive. So she was not wrong. Now that she used the phrase marble like, and of course, Guys White jumped because I was there in that meeting. That's not marble. She never said marble. I think he needs a hearing aid. Folks, listen, Father's Day is coming along soon. So I would suggest that we take a GoFundMe donation and get Mr. Guys White a hearing aid while we're at it. She said marble like, okay, because they had a design. So she was not wrong. So this little hip piece, what gave me a giggle is that this little hit piece here that she tried to do on Mrs. Sandra Gonzalez shows that they are running scare. Okay, and believe it, we can smell the fear. And you should be fearful. You should be fearful because what Brian Geiswhite is leaving at the West Shore School District is a legacy of failure. A legacy of failure. A legacy of debt. A legacy of pornographic books in our schools, a legacy of academic failure. Have you heard of that? Have you seen the test? Okay, that is what he's even. Oh well, with the policy, he supported the policy after him and Hall and bought something that made no sense about a policy for boys. How about the boys? How about the boys? When we're talking about Title IX that was made for women. And reason, the only reason that he said yes to this policy is because he's trying to convince everybody that he's a conservative when he's not, because he was worried about his election. Let's be real. Because other than that, was he not pushing for why are we moving so quickly? Why can't we push this back? Because he did not want that decision to be made, okay, before the election. So he found himself forced to save face because he's trying to convince everybody that he's a conservative, okay, that he's a Republican. He's trying to convince everybody of this. He said yes to save face. But the reality is that he has West Shore Unify and West Shore Student First and the York Dispatch and Penn Live supporting him. So if you have all these pink hair freaks supporting you, guess what? You're not a conservative. So that being stated, guys, I want you to put everything in perspective, okay? And if you want change, and the change that this district needs, okay, somebody who's going to call it as it is, somebody who is more than qualified for this position, somebody who has experience in ministry, somebody who has experience in helping people put their lives back together, okay, somebody that is not, fearful of calling things as they should be called, and somebody who's not friend with a briber, okay, then that person is Sandra Gonzalez. It is time for us to let Brian Geiswhite know that his time is up. Pack up and go. Hit the road, Jack. Don't come back no more. Like the song says. Thank you, Ray Charles. He must have been thinking of Brian Geiswhite when he wrote that. Okay? So, again, if you want change in the West Shore School District, Region 3, don't be bamboozled. Region 3, look at your tax bill. Region 3, look at how much your mortgage went up. Region 3, look at how many of the elderly people can't afford their medication. How many people are struggling to put food on the table. Region 3, I call you to action. Vote Sandra Gonzalez, primary day, May 20th. God bless.
Trapped again, and fate as always hasn't wrapped again. I always get caught in my life of sin, but I just keep on going back again. You know I'm lost again, when all I wanted was to find a friend, someone that I can always depend on to help me find my life again.